Hello. Trading has closed on April 20th, 2022. We always start with our disclaimer. It's my trading plan for tomorrow, April 21. Remember, I can be wrong. Any trade one makes should be at one's own risk. Had a few calls. We had a lower target. We said unless we gapped up smartly, it was favored to print by early tomorrow. We gapped up smartly. Number stays on the table, but we're not too certain of the time. Time runs out early tomorrow. It still could print in its preferred time frame, but when you have the gap up, you have less confidence in that happening. And we look for the pattern with the early low, which is this. Tomorrow has the early high. We generated a new target, 44.85.44. Unless we gap down smartly, which can't be ruled out, rules call for that to print. I described this as a pattern yesterday I've seen only at the end of moves, called it my coup de grace pattern. I said back when the market was around 600 or so, I'd seen it gone maybe about 3 points or so past the high, but in general that was it. We're about 6 or 7 times higher than that, so I said you might have to multiply that by 6. We traded 17 points higher, that's about 3 times 6, give or take a point. So that's still working out, but that's not a guarantee it will work, it just hasn't failed yet. So this is still a pattern I'm not used to seeing at the beginning of moves, only at the end of moves. When it happens at the beginning, I don't have a lot of instances of it happening, so I can't be as confident it'll work. Now I decided from now on I'm just going to use targets generated by the patterns in my book. I'm not going to italicize them. If some other targets come about that I learned after I wrote the book, I'll just mention them. So we have, without italics, a 44.31.73 target. By early tomorrow, preferably, less confidence because of the gap, and a 44.85.44 target. Just a reminder of what we said. Bulls need to gap and promptly overtake the high, which is what they did. Early on, MEJT gave a buy signal that has not satisfied the target, and that's why we get the higher target. This drop was said to be false, that rally was said to be false, and those have already played out. Well, my wave count was getting kind of sloppy and wasn't working for me, so I redid it. Doesn't change the basic idea, though. We're calling this wave A. We have an ABC with good fibs, and if green C equals green A, it's about 39.09. We're saying green B ended here. If that's A and that's B, and you don't know if these are gray or magenta at this point, if that's A and that's B and B ended there, C will equal A at the same price. So we have one target that works about 39.09 for the end of this drop. And just because that number works, it doesn't mean other numbers won't. Let's take a look at the thing since this high. We have a high here. We have an ABC down with good fibs for A. We have an ABC up with good fibs for B. And I now have us in wave C, and here's our supposed target. Let's look at this thing from B. If that's B, you can count an ABC down for A, an ABC for B, and so I'm having us in wave gray C down. So let's focus on gray C. have an ABC for A, and I have as in B of C. Now, this doesn't look as though B is completed, but it certainly could be. You have this MAC tanking. You still can't get past the prior lows. We can't get over the highs of the consolidation. And this is my coup de grace pattern. It is possible to count this as being over, but if it is over, it doesn't have to mean it's the end of black B. It could be just A of B. The count looks a bit forced to me, but it's AB's and then AB with an ending diagonal triangle for C with fibs. And if that's the count, this is the start of a big move down. This could turn out to be a diamond on stilts where you revisit this pretty quickly. Now, to me, it looks a bit forced, but it doesn't break any rules. And futures are up, so I'm not counting on it. But if we do start dropping, at least it gives you a place to look. Tomorrow's pattern has the early high we could get down. Typically, it's a bearish day with a final hour low. Should it be strong instead, more strength tends to follow in the days that follow. There's a higher MEJT target. Unless we gap down smartly, the rules call for it to print. There's also a lower target. Preferred time frame runs out early tomorrow. Sentiment indicators are close to those compatible with a significant low. They're not pinpoint indicators. They don't preclude one more drop. The rally has so far stopped where my coup de grace pattern suggested it could. Rally attempts have failed to break through the prior consolidation. With both higher and lower targets outstanding for tomorrow, MEJT is not giving a directional call. Futures are up as I write this, and today's gap higher makes it less likely the lower target is going to print. However, I'd be happier if we gap down and saw the lower target at some time tomorrow. Just because I'd be happier doesn't mean that it's going to happen. And I'm not going to do anything until I see what happens at the open. But it's generally a bearish day. If you're a bull, you really want to gap up and hold on to the gap you have because we're up in futures. But if we wind up gapping down instead, all this could be reversed pretty quickly. Tomorrow's pattern is the one with the early high, and that's today's call.